I wanted to become this person who was fully accepting of herself. And then last year, I finished therapy and I went on this holiday, and I remember taking pictures. So, but still not 100% like exposing my arm, because I did it slowly, slowly. It's almost like you give a little bit of yourself and, oh, what's the reaction? Oh, it's not as bad as I thought. You give a little bit more. And to go on Instagram, like honestly, when I look back and think, I couldn't even look at pictures of myself. Like, I would cringe to my core.
Welcome to the Brown Girl Rising podcast, where authenticity meets empowerment. I'm Urvashi, your host and your guide on this journey of elevating voices, sharing stories, and navigating the journey of resilience. So, let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome back to Brown Girl Rising. Today I have Charan with me. She is a total inspiration. Oh my God, when I saw her on a catwalk once, I was like, damn girl, you are fire. She has been helping women on their health and fitness and is a testament to the fact that being born with a disability does not define you. Joan was born with an underdeveloped left arm, which was rendered useless as it was devoid of complete sensation and it has no practical use. Yet this woman still lifts weights. So growing up in our Indian culture, she was faced with a lot of pity rather than celebrations and faced a lot of societal prejudices, including the time when she was going to get married or was due, got to that age when every one of us is told, you better get married now. So for years, Joan used to conceal her arm wearing a prosthetic, and she's battled feelings of low self-esteem, had an eating disorder, battled her own feelings of self-rejection, but all that changed when she met the love of her life and started her family. But rather than tell you about how amazing this woman is, I would rather bring her on the show and have a chat. She's a true brown girl rising. So Charan, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm really good today.
Yeah, awesome. It's a
Yes,
beautiful sunny day, which is so strange, isn't it?
it is.
Okay, so today we're going to celebrate you,
Yeah.
completely celebrate you as the human being that you are and everything that you do to inspire women around you. But first, what I want to ask you is what I ask all my guests is, what does it mean to you to be unlimited?
Wow. Now that's a question and a half to start the show with. Um, that's a really good question, actually. I think to me, to be unlimited is actually that is actually a key word in terms of how I'd probably describe myself right here, right now.
Yeah.
Um, and going off of that, to me, that means I feel a big sense of freedom. I feel liberation. I feel so um just free, not restricted anyway. There's no barriers. I fully accept myself.
Yes.
And because of that, I just feel like recently I just glow differently. There's
Mm,
just there's that inner confidence, which I think is just, I'm projecting it now.
yeah.
So yeah, I think unlimited means I just feel like I'm out of this cage. There's all the barriers and all the chains that I once, I placed on myself. They're
Yeah.
gone. And it's almost like a rebirth,
It is.
just, and I'm sure we'll touch upon that later. But that's exactly how I feel right now. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's incredible. I love that whole,
Uh.
when you were talking, it was like I just envisioned this phoenix rising, right? Like you've been through so much and now you're this
Uh,
phoenix rising and going, you know what? No, this is me and I'm completely unchained.
and I'm here for it,
Here
honestly.
for it. I love that. I love that. So look, we're gonna dive straight in. You have
Yeah.
an obvious disability.
Yeah.
You have an underdeveloped arm. So can you take us through kind of what was that like growing up with this underdeveloped arm in like
Yeah.
our culture?
Mm. So it's really funny question now to go back, because
Yeah.
like I said, we're right now, I'm in like such a great place to now switch my mindset to go back.
Mm,
It's like how did I feel? I'll be honest, like when I obviously through my childhood, I put on a very brave face, right?
mm,
So these feelings that surfaced was only not long ago, because I'd suppressed exactly how I felt all my
Okay.
life. So when, I actually had therapy and I, dug deep into it, I, without realizing at the time, just felt I was very protective over my family and, my parents
Okay.
to the point where I don't think I really acknowledged how I felt, like overtly ever said to anyone, like, hey guys, I'm struggling. But I knew like I was struggling just by the things I did, um, just by the fact that, I covered up all my life,
Yeah.
so it's not me screaming out saying to my parents, look, I'm really struggling with my identity.
Yeah.
You know, it came out in other ways, like by covering up, by having the eating disorder, like all of those other elements of trying to control something that I couldn't control.
Yeah.
Um, but in terms of like the early childhood, school was fine, did touch wood, didn't experience any, form of bullying. So that I'm really,
Which
really
is
grateful
amazing,
for.
actually.
So grateful for. I'd say at one aspect of my life which was a struggle was probably society, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Um, we were quite a religious family. We used to go to the temple every Sunday, and just being around like family members, the early memories I have is, from a young age when I'd go to the temple, I'd always used to wear what we call, like a chunni, dupatta,
Mm.
like scarf, and cover up my arm because there was just always like aunties, like elder women, just, whenever they'd see my mum or me, it was very a quite a dramatic reaction. Let's just say that it was like, oh my goodness,
It was
what?
like those Indian
Yeah,
dramas, right?
yeah. It's like, oh my goodness, what's happened to her? What's wrong with her? And they are sort of the earlier sort of memories that I can remember in that sense, just knowing from that sort of age that I'm different, you know.
Okay.
Um, yeah, much younger age, not at all. You're in a bubble, aren't you? You're almost in that little safety bubble.
Okay.
But I do remember, I can't, probably in year four, I used to wear short sleeve tops, but I remember getting to a certain age, quite young, thinking, oh, really, maybe it was a time we started going swimming. I think year four, year five. That's where one of my earlier traumatic memories started. I didn't know that until, like I said, I had therapy
Right.
later on.
Okay.
Um, but it was like, okay, I have to now go swimming, like
Yeah.
really where like expose myself. And by the time I got to secondary school, like
Yeah.
that was it. When I used to have PE, even in summer, I used to wear, I remember my thick black jumper. I was sweating, because I'm a teenager now. And yeah, so definitely by secondary school, I'd completely done a U-turn. Yeah. I'd say it started like probably towards the latter end of junior school, where I was a bit more conscious, as you
Yeah.
do, you get older and, you start getting into image and appearance, where I was just like, because I used to be quite trendy as a kid, wear like little skirts, little tops. I look at some of my pictures and I was like, I really did love fashion. I
Yeah.
really did. But yeah, I'd say that's when it started. And then my fashion change, if you look back at that period of time, everything just changed. Like I just started wearing clothes that purely that just would cover my arm up.
Mm,
And
mm.
and that's when it slowly started changing.
Okay. Did you at what age did you start wearing a prosthetic then?
Yeah, so apparently, and I can't remember this. So when I was younger,
Yeah.
the doctors, suggested it for my parents, and apparently I did try it. But when you're young, you just want to be free, and I just used to take it off. So my parents like, fine, we're not having this. It was only when I was, I think, 16, one of my family members
Mm.
said to me, because I think they started noticing that I was, covering my arm up anyway. And one of my family members said to me, "Oh, why don't you go back and wear it? It'll give you a bit of shape." And I thought, "Oh, okay, like it didn't occur to me. And I thought, oh, maybe because I was getting a bit fed up. I'll be honest. When you wear any dresses, any
Yeah.
outfits, just my arm just used to flop,
Yeah.
the sleeve, and it just didn't give me that structure and that shape. And that's when I went back. I think it was about, so it must have been about 16 where I explored the idea.
Okay.
And then from that point, what started off as something, I was not dependent on. I'll
became
tell you a funny story because I remember, I think, yeah, this was in secondary school. I got chosen to go on like a trip to Cambridge University. I was like,
okay.
I remember leaving the house without the arm because I wasn't used to wearing it. I think I got to the top of my road and I was like, oh my goodness, I've left it at home. I went running back, put it on. So like that just shows in the, initially it wasn't even something I was
Yeah,
dependent on. But as I started wearing it more and more, and I started feeling like I hate using this word, but let's just say normal, I was like, it became a dependency that,
right.
and over the years, I would not, if someone come to my house and I haven't got my arm on, I'm like, oh my God, I've got to run upstairs kind of thing, put it on. I've got to go wherever I went with it on.
So it became a dependency. Did it become an insecurity to like not have your, I guess it's a security blanket, right? You had your
Yeah.
arm, you became dependent
Mm.
on it.
It's like a false sense of security, though. It's a false sense of security. So, it's like quite ironic, isn't it? Because what starts
Mm.
off as something that you think is going to end up making you feel like really secure, it didn't. It actually fed into the insecurities even more.
Yeah. So, okay. So when you were younger, you didn't have any kind of you didn't really acknowledge your arm as being anything different, right? You weren't hiding it, no prosthetic, all that kind of stuff. Then you started wearing it. So what point did it start impacting it? What point did your arm or the prosthetic and everything
Mm,
you were going through start
mm,
impacting your mental health?
Oh, oh, that's a really good question. Because I think indirectly it must have been around the time I had an eating disorder. Because I do, it is all linked, right?
It is all
So,
linked.
so that's the thing. There was a big, well, in my head anyway, a big weight on appearance, like the way I looked. So my family were quite like that, like just family members, especially like the society, will just say it how it is.
Yeah.
And I used to turn up to functions, so I always knew, let's just say this way, that all my cousins, sisters, everyone was like older than me, and I was like the youngest. Everyone around me was having arranged marriages like back then. And I knew that was the expected norm for me too. And
Mm,
I knew my mum was very stressed out about that.
mm,
They're very stressed out because, you hear conversations, and I was very aware that when that time would come for me, or even in the background, because people are casually sort of almost looking from a younger age, I would just go to functions and, started, like wearing makeup. And then it got to that point where I'd gained a little bit of weight. I would say it was just, around the teenage years. I was, really enjoyed my food. I didn't used to exercise. And one of my family members made a comment. Um, yeah, she obviously don't really want to go into who
yeah.
said it, but I'll never ever forget that because, you know, that that one comment did change like the rest of the next few years because, I was told that, oh my God, you need to basically slim down kind of thing. And it was pretty much after that where I remember, my sister was into like dieting at that age as well because she's older than me. I just like literally turned to her and I just started cutting out food and, just started exercising quite a bit. But before I knew it, because I started getting a lot more compliments and a lot of
Mm,
attention, and I started
mm.
quite enjoying that. And then
Positive
what I think,
reinforcement,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I think I know what happened is like, oh my goodness, the attention has shifted from anyone talking about my arm now to like, you're so skinny. What do you do? Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I started getting a lot of attention, and then towards like, image as well, like, um, just how I look. So that then again, that pressure just builds up, doesn't it? Builds up, builds
And
up.
do you think it's those comments then and
Ugh,
that technically that
ugh.
positive reinforcement that triggered
Mm.
your eating disorder, your mental health issues with yourself,
It's
and it
just
actually wasn't anything to do with your arm?
Sorry, say that again in
So do
terms of,
you think that
yeah,
that positive reinforcement
yeah,
that you got
yeah,
from society about your weight
yeah,
triggered the eating disorder, triggered you kind of, having mental health issues?
yeah.
Oh,
I think, yeah, a lot of it is to do with that positive reinforcement that I got, because you got to think like you're getting one aspect of, in terms of one aspect, your body part, you're getting a lot of negativity.
yeah,
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, and I can't control that. I can't do anything about that. But it's like, oh, when it comes to your weight, something that I thought I was in control of.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of a lot of positivity. And naturally, who doesn't like that kind of,
yeah,
being praised?
yeah.
Um, and I think obviously where I did take it to quite an extreme, and I think that's probably why I did. It was like, right, I'm going to be the not the best at this, but I'm going to be make sure that it's enough that people comment on it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like mental health was impacted in the sense that during the time I had the eating disorder, in the sense that I was just wasn't myself really. Like it did affect the relationship I had with loved ones. It affected my social life. I didn't used to want to go out. I'd get anxious, if I was going out
Mm.
to eat. My energy was so low. I used to argue with my mum because she used to make my food then. Like at the height of it, I used to say to her, I actually remember, and it's really awful. I remember she made me a plate of food, and I just chucked it. I just chucked the whole plate of food because I was like, I remember saying to her, you have put extra, or not even extra, you've put oil in there. Because I had this fear of anything that looked greasy or
Oh,
oil.
wow.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not eating it. And it was just, and then I did lose my period for 3 months. That was like at the peak of it. Yeah. The
Yeah,
peak of it was when I lost my period. And I thought, obviously, a part of me, that's when it kicked in. I was like, this is actually like, something's not right here, you
something's not
know?
right. Yeah.
Um, yeah, that was probably like the turning point for me.
So we've spoken about eating disorders before,
Yeah,
and I think something I said to you was that, once you've had an eating disorder,
yeah,
you never really get over it in terms of like it's never really gone. You're in remission for the rest of your life, right? And it's something that just stays. I mean, have you found that with yours? So I had bulimia
yeah,
for a long time, and for me, it was it was triggered by slimming clubs, if I'm honest. Like I
yeah,
used to go to slimming clubs and it'd be like, oh, you've lost X amount of weight this week, or you haven't lost weight this week. And then it was like, oh, you're slimmer of the week. Amazing,
yeah,
right? And all this kind of stuff. And then I got obsessed with scales, and it was like I
yeah,
wanted to see the number go down
yeah,
daily. And so what started off as me just, purging a
yeah,
meal became 2 meals, became pretty much all of it. And it just became something that was stuck in my head and I couldn't get out of this cycle. And then on top of that, you're getting this positive reinforcement, like you just
yeah,
said,
yeah,
right? From other people going, oh my God, you look so good. Oh my God. Then there's all these guys that have been in your life forever who have never commented, all of a sudden going, oh my God, you're really like hot, or you're really this, that, and the other. Can I take you out? And you're like, so I'm doing something right. Whereas underneath,
yeah,
your nails are breaking, my hair
yeah,
fell out, like my
wow,
skin was grey, makeup covers all sins,
yeah,
um, you know, and I got really ill and ended up in
yeah,
hospital, right?
wow,
So it never leaves. I don't know if
yeah,
you can
yeah,
attest to that as
yeah,
well.
yeah. That's another really, really good question. I would say after I recovered, yeah, because obviously I got my period back, um, then I I remember when I got married to my husband, I'd made so many positive changes, right?
Mm.
So like you said, I'd say around that time after I got married, actually I was still really slim, because I remember some of his friends commenting, saying, "Oh, she's really, really skinny." Um, when would I say I sort of almost, when was the turning point? I would say definitely in the last few years, since
Mm-hmm.
maybe I started my fitness journey and
Mm-hmm.
got educated and started, obviously becoming a personal trainer. I'll tell you why. Because when I first started my fitness journey, which was a few years ago after my mum passed, I was very much still obsessed about getting skinny. Because that's
Right.
why I went. That's why I went and got myself a personal trainer because I'd had the kids and I was like obsessed with my stomach. And I'm not embarrassed to admit that because that is who I used to be. I was absolutely obsessed, thinking, because again, these obsessions do stem from the fact that I couldn't felt like I wasn't accepting of my arm. And the
Mm,
other body part that I quite liked, if I'm honest, is my stomach.
okay.
So there was that emphasis around the stomach. And after having the children, I was like, after my second child, I was like, oh goodness, but after I went on that little journey,
Yeah.
initially going there to lose more weight, and I think I remember at the time, I think the personal trainer was thinking like, what the hell? You're already so slim. And when I look at my transformation pictures now, I think I actually cannot believe that I went there to try and lose more weight, right?
Yeah.
Because by the end of it, I was ridiculously slim. But
Yeah.
that is when, I decided to start using weights.
Okay.
And since then, I have, I'm now more like, I love the idea of, healthy curves, bigger, becoming a bit
Stronger.
bigger. And I actually posted stronger. I posted this on my stories a little while ago because, yes, that battle is always going to be there, right?
Yeah.
There is always going to be that underlying thing because, where I'm now trying to gain weight,
Yeah.
I'm going to get stronger and build muscle. And
Hey guys, Ush here. I just had to interrupt this fabulous podcast episode because a lot of you have been reaching out to me telling me that you just haven't been feeling great lately and you feel like you're losing your vitality and that actually you want to get it back. So I'm here to interrupt and tell you about my one-to-one coaching program, and it's designed to help you literally do that, reclaim your vitality and step into your purpose. So have you been feeling stuck lately? Maybe you've been feeling unmotivated, or maybe you're procrastinating on doing the things that you need to do. Maybe your body just feels completely lethargic. Maybe you've put on some weight. Maybe you feel like you've gone backwards with your health and your life, and it's affecting how you show up in the world. And I don't want that for you. I want you to step out every day feeling so vibrant, so radiant, and so happy that that life just comes to you, that you start magnetizing everything that you desire to have in your life. So, the first thing I can tell you is that you need to 100% change the way you think and act. But I know that this can be a really hard task alone, and that's why I'm here to help you. Okay, I'm here to help you reclaim that vitality and get unstuck and thrive, because that is what I want for you, because that is a journey I have been on too. So, if you need someone who has been on this journey, who can hold that sacred space for you without judgment, if you need a coach who can guide you on this journey to your best self, to your best health, and to that place where you feel like you are authentic in the way you show up day in, day out, and that you're full of vitality, then I'm here to help you. All you got to do is book yourself in for a free call. It's completely free. Let's chat about what is keeping you stuck and see how I can help you. And you know what? If you use the code BGR24 in your consultation form when you sign up for your free call, I will give you 20% off any of my one-to-one coaching packages. And that is a thank you to you for being part of this beautiful Brown Girl Rising community. So head to the show notes or go to allthews.unlimitedurvashi.com and book in your free consultation call today. And I will see you thriving in this life. And you never know, maybe we get to hang out too soon as well.
And I faced this little obstacle not long ago, right?
Yeah.
Because I had to increase my calories if you want to, when I get stronger. But some of that, childhood trauma haunts you a little bit because, I remember talking to some friends a little while ago, and they were still very much of the view that no, we like that look,
Hey.
thick,
Yeah.
skinny legs and stuff like that. And that I'm just not like, that's just not the look I prefer right now.
Yeah.
And I think me, increasing my calories and seeing that food is not the demon, but it's actually fuel. It gives me strength. And, I'm all about being a strong woman now, has actually really changed the way I think,
Yeah.
in terms of like that relationship with food. But are there days where, but that's probably just now on a more of a normal level, like as women,
Yeah.
when you think, oh, if you have these slight doubts. But I'm very good now at, batting that thought out of my head very
Amazing.
quickly, because I don't ever want to go back to being that person. And the funny thing is, and I was having this conversation with a friend that come around the other day, and we are talking about it. He said, "You used to be so skinny. Now, if anyone was to say to me, you're really skinny,
You get offended.
I get offended.
I know, I know.
Honestly.
And I'm not skinny like you, but if someone says those words to me,
Yeah, yeah,
I find them offensive. And I've had
yeah,
people go, "Oh, look at you. You've gotten skinny when I've been on my fitness
yeah.
journey." I'm like, I don't like, I'm strong. I'm slimmer and I'm strong and I'm
Yes,
leaner. Don't say skinny to me.
yes.
Skinny
I'm
is
so
just as
glad you
offensive as
understand
fat.
that, actually. I'm
Absolutely.
so glad you actually understand that.
Yeah. So when I lost, so I told you before we started pressing record that I have put on 12 kilos over the last 2 years, and before that, people used to, and obviously I have been 108 kilos, I have been 55 kilos, I have been then 80 kilos, and when I lost that 12, I got so many comments of people going, "Oh, your face doesn't look the same. Like your face is too skinny." And I'm like, "Well, I like my face. Stop commenting on my body. Stop
Yeah,
commenting on anything."
yeah,
Your legs have got even skinnier because I've got quite slim legs.
yeah,
So yeah, I can totally take offense to that.
yeah.
I think it's not right for another person to comment on your body.
That
Like
is
I,
it.
I think the best thing to say to somebody if you think they look good is you look good.
Yeah, I
If
agree
they
with you.
want to divulge what they've been doing,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
So, okay, I'm gonna change the subject.
sure.
We'll come back to fitness in a bit,
Yeah,
but I want to talk about your arm again.
yeah,
So, your arm obviously is underdeveloped. Now, can you, and if you feel happy to share, because I know I
yeah,
told you that might get a bit deep, but
yeah.
what kind of things has it stopped you from doing
Like practically, would you say?
practically?
Yeah.
Like, you've
It's
talked about
funny,
lifting
right?
weights.
Yeah.
How are you lifting weights on
Oh, how
both
do I lift
sides?
weight?
Yeah, like for example, like I don't know, putting makeup on. Like, how are you like
Yeah,
putting your makeup
I
on?
know. Do you know what? It's interesting you said, because I have just found my own way of doing things. Do not even ask me how I do. I just do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if someone says to me, "How would you do it?" Like, I I sometimes don't even realize. I've become more aware in the last year that actually you do take longer to do this and you do struggle. And maybe this is like the reason sometimes, your eyeliner is a little bit like this or whatever, because I just do it my own way, don't I? Because I've never known any different,
Yeah,
kind
so
of
you've
thing.
never known what it feels like to have which arm is it? Sorry, your left.
It's my left arm. Yeah, it's
Your
my
left.
left
And you're
arm.
right-handed, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can drive. So there's a
You can
difference with
drive.
I can drive, yeah. I can drive.
Okay.
So there's a difference between when you say to me, what can't you do? Things that I told myself I couldn't do. They're like
Right.
barriers that you impose on yourself, as
Yeah.
opposed to actually, can you really not do that? So I can't, okay, there's certain things I can't do. Like before this podcast, I was like, quickly, I said to my husband, can you put my necklace on? Or there's
You
times
can't.
where
Yeah.
I've now found a way of taking my watch off. And that's just in the last couple of months. So I can't, obviously, you need two hands to unclip this. But then I think one night, I can't remember, I was desperate. I don't like wearing a watch in the shower. So I used to have to wait. That's really annoying, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
putting a watch on, having to make sure someone's home to take the watch off. I've now found a way where there's a little clip. I'll dig it into like a corner of an edge and it will unclip. It's really cool. But it's just things like that
I
that
love
just give me,
that. You've got
I know, but it's just giving me that little bit more freedom. Like I don't have
freedom.
to wait for someone to come and do this. I definitely can't open, like when it comes to, I can open jars, but I can't, like a can of beans, like
Yeah.
with a tin opener,
So
practically,
basically, you found your own way of
yeah,
doing things, and actually,
yes,
your arm or your hand
yeah,
doesn't matter.
yeah. I will not let it. I think that's just been the attitude I've had since I've been little again, right? Again, it comes down to
Yeah.
showing my parents that I can do this. So I will just find a way. I can tie shoelaces, which that's probably one of my biggest achievements.
I love that.
like being able to tie shoelaces, which is, I
You
think that's
said
pretty cool.
earlier that you're protecting your parents. What were
Yeah.
you protecting them from?
Because I know my mum, there was always that sense of guilt my mum carried. Yeah. Because maybe she felt a little bit responsible. She gave birth to me, and, you know, we never really had that conversation now. So I would never really know. But the impression I get is, maybe there's a bit of
Bit of guilt.
guilt, or, yeah, maybe a bit of guilt. So I then wanted to protect her from, you just want to show them, don't you, that you don't need to stress, because I'm going to show you
I'm
I can
fine.
do
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I can do everything.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. So obviously we spoke about you losing your mum to cancer, and this was the one person who really understood you
Yeah.
and who had your back. Can you just
Yeah.
take us through that? Because I know that you went through a bit of a
Yeah.
traumatic time there as well.
Yeah, that's still, yeah, that's a still very difficult one, can't lie. Um, you know, yeah, that is now been, it was 5 years in September, and I had a very, very close relationship with my mum, because she I felt like we were in it together almost, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And honestly, losing a parent is just, is never easy, but I do feel when she went, that I had a, even though I protected her, she protected me. It was
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And when she passed away, that level of that blanket, I was like, where's my safety net gone?
Mm,
My safety net went. And yeah, it was really tough, because she was still quite young. She was 60, and it was just out of the blue
okay.
that she passed away. And I think the hardest part of it was, like, when she had cancer, and just watching her, like, slowly pass away was really difficult,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
you go from seeing someone who's just so strong, and then by the end of it, they just, like, completely turned into a different person. So that was just a really difficult part of my
Mm.
life,
So
you
how
know?
did you deal with
Yeah.
that impacting your life? Because obviously, you know,
Yeah.
all our parents, unfortunately, at some point are going to
Yeah.
leave this planet. It's just
Yeah.
part of the circle of life, right?
Mm,
And it hurts, and I get it. I can see you're crying, so
yeah.
my
It's
heart's going out to
okay.
you at
It's
the
still.
moment. Um, but how did you then come back to who you are today without,
Yeah.
obviously, with still remembering, with still having her in your memory and move?
Mhm.
How did you move forward from that? Because she
The-
was your safety blanket.
Yeah. Before I moved forward, in all honesty, like, rather than, just saying to everyone, get into the good part, I did have period of time where I just started drinking a little bit more. I'm not a big drinker, but that's why I talk about it on my platform quite a bit, that
Mm.
I'm actually quite strong on my opinion. Like, if I don't want to drink, no, I won't, because
Yeah.
I think I had that bad sort of experience and got lost in the whole grieving journey. And I just remember going through a phase of, I'll start drinking, shots, alcohol without any mixers,
Okay.
alcohol without any mixers, and I was just losing myself, really. Um, and I think what brought me back was, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, you still got responsibilities. And I just got to that point. I remember that one January thinking, like, enough is enough. I just thought, like, enough is enough. And I knew I had to do something. And it started with, like I said, getting myself a personal trainer. Yeah,
Mm.
which initially, like I said, it was all about just, trying to become skinny. But what I started realizing, going to see a personal trainer, was like therapy. It was
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
yeah,
I
isn't
can
it?
vouch for that. I used to be
Yeah,
one. And I was
yeah,
literally my client's therapist once a week, an hour a week, or
yeah,
twice a week. They'd come and see me, and it would be like, yes, they're training, but they're also
yeah,
just. And you know what? That's what people need. People
yeah,
need a sounding board, and sometimes it has to
yeah,
be somebody who's not in their, immediate circle. So that I think personal trainers are
yeah,
incredible for what they do because they do
yeah.
more than just train you.
Yes. And I just started really enjoying the fact that I could go there, and, like, it was just helping me, that I just started seeing the mental benefits of exercise slowly, slowly. And I thought, I'd rather feel the pain from working out than, like, the pain in your heart. It's just like almost transferring the pain, isn't it?
Mm.
And become physically fitter, become mentally stronger. But it has been a journey. Like all of this has helped, which, that was the start of then me going on to this bigger journey of about,
Yeah.
self-acceptance.
Yeah. Which is beautiful. So let's talk about that bigger journey then,
Mm,
that self-acceptance,
yeah,
falling in love, not having to marry someone of, the society's choices in India,
yeah,
because I know that was a big thing for you. And
yeah.
then actually finally finding your purpose from becoming a lawyer to becoming a trainer and a fitness coach. So let's talk about that journey, because that's the inspirational journey. Everything you've been through,
Mm.
um, I have to say you're incredible, first of all. But that journey, how did you get to that place of self-acceptance and now
Yeah,
this is my purpose?
yeah. It was so after my mum passed away, I think what happened is that I think something just thought, whew, I don't need to, I can just, I don't need to worry about, you know, what anyone else is thinking. And I think that's when the first time I thought, let me check in on how I'm feeling, you know, and I think that's when I just started realizing, I had therapy.
Yeah.
Um, the therapy wasn't even initially supposed to be like focused on my arm. It was actually about other things. But I just went through some childhood traumas I didn't even know I had. Um, to
Most of
get
us
to,
don't. Most of us
yeah,
don't
yeah, I did
realize it's
honestly didn't
trauma.
even realize like where it stemmed from.
Mm.
And I knew that I wanted to become this person. I wanted to become this person who was fully accepting of herself. And then last year, I think it was yeah, we had a holiday and I thought I finished therapy and I went on this holiday and I remember taking pictures. So, but still not 100% um like exposing my arm because I did it slowly, slowly. It's almost like you give a little bit of yourself and oh, what's the reaction? Oh, it's not as bad as I thought. You give a little bit more. And to go on Instagram, like honestly, when I look back and think, I couldn't even look at pictures of myself. Like I would cringe to my core. But every little thing, hurdle I've overcome, like whether it's started off by wearing a short sleeve top I don't know, I think it might have been last October.
Oh,
Then
wow, that
getting
recent.
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
This journey has been in the last year, bit by bit, getting on camera and showing my arm and thinking it's not as bad. Or, I think the first Asian event I went to was 3 weeks ago. So the last 3 weeks I've had three big events.
Okay.
And I did have a little bit of anxiety 3 weeks ago because I was like, I'm going to an Asian event and I haven't really danced like without my prosthetic arm. And I know that sounds weird, but when you dance, or maybe it was just one of my limited beliefs, because I just used to like when you dance, it's just
Yeah.
again in my head, I like the fact there was like another arm on top. So I remember going to his wedding 3 weeks ago and I was a bit nervous. I was like, how am I going to dance? Like, how's it going to be? How am I going to feel? But 2 weeks later, I had another event. And then at that event, I felt
Did you at
even
any point think I'm going to put my prosthetic on?
no, I've still got the arm. It's in my cupboard, but there's no way I would ever, ever wear it, you know? I
Ever?
just will never go back to being that person.
Yeah.
Just never, like, because it's uncomfortable, it's heavy, it's not what I want to represent. And I've got nothing against people who wear it. In all honesty, there's a lot of people who choose to wear them, and
There's
that's
also a lot of
absolutely,
people, Jaron, who need to wear them. So
yeah,
recently,
yeah,
I've just finished watching Race Across the World, the Celebrity Edition,
yeah,
and Billy, I think it's Billy Maya or Moya,
yeah, yeah.
was a race car driver. And in a racing accident, he lost both his legs,
Oh,
right? And he
wow.
did this challenge, and this is, an absolute kudos to him. He
Yeah,
went from Morocco to the very tip of Norway on this race across the world challenge. And you can see at points he's really struggling because he both of his legs are prosthetics, right? So
wow.
from the thigh down, one from the knee down. And so one, they're already odd. So that must feel very, very weird to
Yeah.
him. But then he's doing these things like climbing mountains and
Wow.
working in a leather factory in Morocco where there's like water everywhere. And I'm just like, how are you doing it? And the
Yeah.
guys end up with like blisters and going like, I need to take my prosthetics off and I don't know if I can go
Yeah.
further.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was just so I mean, I cried the first one I
Oh,
saw
wow.
because I really felt for him. Like a
Yeah,
17-year-old boy gets into a racing car accident,
yeah,
and both his legs are gone.
yeah,
It's so different, right, from your journey because you
yeah,
were born like that and it's just you.
yeah.
He's had to recreate his
I
whole
know.
self after that.
And I always say
So,
to myself, I do feel fortunate
yeah,
because I don't know any different, you know?
yeah,
And I always think that if, for like you said, for those that if you were to lose it afterwards and you've got used to one way of living and then to suddenly change it, when you were to ask me now, I don't know any different. This is my world, this is my bubble. I
yeah.
get by, I make it work, and I'm just, I am thankful in that sense. I really am.
You've got so much spirit and you're so grateful for the life that you've got. And I think that is beautiful. Let's talk about your career.
Yeah.
You were a lawyer
Yeah.
and you've stepped away from that, and your highest self or your purpose is now to help other women. How did that happen? Like, where was
Yeah.
that? How did you go
Yeah.
from being a lawyer to a personal trainer?
So I think again, being a lawyer was not something deep down I believe I ever wanted to do. It was
Right.
again that pressure of, I remember having these conversations when I was younger because all my family like are really well educated, and I remember once sounding it out that I wanted to do something other than being a doctor, lawyer, or whatever it is, and not my parents. I can't lie, my parents were quite relaxed. It
Yeah.
was like external family members saying no, 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 no. So I thought, okay. Again, I think deep down subconsciously in my head, I thought if I become a lawyer, it's another,
It's
tick
a check
box.
in the box, isn't it?
Yes.
Like,
So
I'm
I've got
becoming
this
that
going.
perfect girl that everyone wants me to be.
That's it. I was like, I've got another thing going for me. I did it, and I'm not going to lie and say I hated it. I loved some aspects of it, like
Mm,
helping people. I think that's naturally been the common ground. Whenever I help someone, that's really it gets me going. But for me, law, it just it wasn't doing it for me. I wasn't getting up every day thinking, oh my God, I love my job. I'm making a difference to the world. Because there's a lot more to like the legal stuff than,
yeah,
what you might see on TV. It's all about helping people. So I felt very unsatisfied for such a long time. It's been years and years and years. I used to moan about it. I was really unhappy, but I just didn't know what else to do, right? I was like, I don't know what else to do. And then it wasn't like I ever, set out to be a personal trainer or a fitness coach. Like the two can be completely more
hmm,
different, even if you tried, right? But
yeah,
again, it ties into the fact that I started my own journey, started seeing how it changed my life because it's not just about fitness. This journey has got me from being this person to someone who's now like just so confident in her skin.
yeah,
And
which you can
then,
see. Yeah.
yeah, and then I thought, I was talking to my friend. I've got a personal trainer, and I said, and she said, this is incredible. This is what I've learned. And I thought, well, I know all that. I said, I'd love to do that, but I can't. Again, a limited belief. And she was like, why can't you? So the next day, I thought, let me phone up some providers, and they said, of course you can do it. And it just literally started like that. I was still working and still studying in the background, and I just started really enjoying it. And then I thought, yeah, at one point I was managing both,
Yeah.
and I just started doing it. And I thought, this is just so much more fulfilling. You've just got to do it. You know what I believe is like after my mum passed away so young, and this is how I live my life. You've just got to take a risk. I don't,
Yeah.
life is too
100%.
short,
Yeah.
and that if you've just got to do it. That's just how I see it. And
Yeah.
I just took that risk.
I love
I
that.
just did it.
And how is your life today?
Like I am waking up just feeling so much more fulfilled because it's just I get to impact people's lives. And, I will always say it's more than just a fitness journey because the women that reach out to me, which is what I love, I've got a client who is recovering from cancer herself. I've got a client who is her daughter is disabled. It is just so fulfilling
Mm,
that, you're helping women just transform their lives in all aspects of their life, isn't it?
yeah.
It's just, yeah, I love it.
It is amazing. So look, we're gonna have to wrap up in a bit, but I just want to ask you. So, there are listeners out there who maybe are struggling with embracing their uniqueness and struggling to accept themselves. What is one tip you would give for our listeners of this podcast today to start that journey into self-acceptance and embracing maybe their uniqueness?
I knew you were going to end with another big question, isn't it? Um,
Top and tail.
yeah, it's really good. What would be it's almost like what would I've said
Yourself,
to
yeah.
myself, isn't it, that I needed to hear
Yeah.
is when I think back at like little chat, little me is you've just it's almost caring less about what other people
Mm,
say and more about what you really want. You've just got to sit there and envision the person you want to be and think, how am I going to become that person? And
yeah.
just take those little steps. Like it can feel so overwhelming, right? If you had asked me even a year ago, and that's not even that long ago, would I've seen myself in this position? Absolutely not. It seemed like a mountain to climb, right?
Yeah.
But before you know it, just making those little changes, you get there. It all stacks up.
Yeah. And the
But you,
path just starts. It's like driving at night, right? You can't see more than 50 meters in front of you, but you trust that the road ahead is going to get you
yeah,
there.
yeah.
And you just
And
do 50 meters at a time.
yeah, absolutely. And for anyone who is sitting there, like who, like you said, is not feeling body confident, and I know how that feels. Like honestly, inside you wake up and you feel like a bit of a fake person. Like to the world, you're projecting that you're, this person, and the two don't align.
Mm,
All I'm going to say is when the two align, when, I'm still on a journey and I don't want to sit here and say to people like I'm the finished product, like I'm absolutely where I want to be. Like every day I'll face new challenges still. Like we won't talk about it on this podcast, but I've got children and I'm still now navigating their journey with my disability,
yeah.
right? So there's still going to be so many obstacles yet I've probably got to face, even when my son goes to secondary school. Like there's obstacles that I know they're coming,
Yeah.
but you've just got to trust yourself to know you're strong enough to be able to cope. And once you start seeing the difference in yourself, honestly, it's just the best thing you can do. But you got to start. You got to start that journey today.
Yeah. Just figure out who you want to be
Yeah,
and just take that first step, and the
yeah,
rest of the steps will unfold
will
along the
fall
way.
in place.
Yeah. Okay. So give me 5 things that you love about your life right now.
Ah, oh God, I love. Five is a lot, but hopefully,
Five is not a
five is a
lot.
lot. I love that I wake up every day doing something that I love.
Yep.
I love the fact that I feel free and at one, you know. I love the fact that I can wear anything I want now, and I just find shopping just so much more exciting, you know.
Joyful.
Um, can I say I love my children and my family?
Yes, you
Because
can.
that should have been number one, really, because actually that honestly that's everything I do is for my family, especially like my
Yeah.
kids. Fifth one, what am I struggling with? I'm just grateful. I love all the opportunities that are coming my way. I love that I'm getting to help. When I receive so many messages from women who reach out and say that, the little things I say really help them a long way.
Yeah.
I just love that, you know?
Mm, beautiful. Amazing. Okay, so if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they find you? Just share your social media handles and all that jazz.
Oh, yeah. So my Instagram platform is Charan Fitness. That's where you'll find me on Instagram.
Okay. Is that the only place?
I'm on LinkedIn now as well. I've gone
Okay.
from a legal profile to a fitness. It's in transition, but
Let's have a quick
I
chat
am,
about that.
it is.
How awkward and how like weird was it to go from being this like professional to being this professional in like a fitness space? Because for me, as I transitioned, I literally did like tiny changes. I'm not quite ready to like
Oh,
take
no.
the leap into being a non-professional.
Oh no. I can't lie. Like Instagram now, I'm so fine with it. LinkedIn, that you've got to think all my contacts, lawyers, people have seen me in such serious capacities in
Yeah.
court, and now I'm doing these videos. I think they're finding it fascinating. I haven't posted that much on it, but every time I post something, they're like, "Wow, is this how you really felt? Is this?" I think they find it quite fascinating. you know.
Yeah.
But I am gonna, like I've said to myself, next year, like I said, it's about one step at a time, right? I want to focus more on LinkedIn because there's so many professionals out there, and I can relate to that industry and that field
Yeah,
really well, that probably need that help as well. But yeah, I am on LinkedIn as well.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you for your time. You've been incredible. It's been so amazing to have you on Brown Girl Rising, and you are definitely someone who is rising. So we will be keeping an eye on you for sure. And I'll see you then. Take care.